Yeah, looking at the tape from last week, there was a lot of good stuff to build from. Obviously, defense was very active, made the plays we needed to make, especially on third down, getting them off the field, which was great to see. Offensively, the ability again to control the game and run the football was huge. I thought took a step up in the passing game and still left some explosives out there that are there for us. So there was improvement in the passing game, but still need to get a little bit more and make those plays that we had an opportunity to make. But overall, very pleased with their progression and their improvement from game one to game two. Now, obviously, the opponent we got this week is a very talented team. We're going to have to improve and play better than we did last week to beat these guys, but very talented, and we know the rest of who they are. I'll open it up for questions now.
The identity you guys have started to develop here, did you see that in the spring? Did you see it in camp, or has this just come about these first couple games?
Fall camp for sure. I think this is something that has kind of been worked on all spring as we were trying to search for any identity during the spring, with so many new players. But then as fall camp kind of went on, this kind of became who we were.
It feels like such a defensive coach cliche, run the ball and play defense. But is that what you want to be, or is that what it is? That's what's working right now?
I think there's always an element. The great teams that I've been around or have watched have been great running football teams. I think that's where it starts, your ability to close out games. You got to be able to run the football. It definitely helps your defense stay off the field, so helps you play better defense. There's no question. But as much as we've done it, probably not. It's just kind of how the games are and what's been working.
Would this offense be effective throwing 40, 45 times a game, or do you feel like what you saw Saturday is exactly what you like, provided the defense isn't doing something exotic to you?
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to be heavily tilted to throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. I think a balance somewhere between 60-40 or 50-50 is probably what we're looking for.
As a former linebacker yourself, what do you see when you watch those two true freshmen on the field together on Saturday? What do you see out of that pair?
Yeah, I think again they got tremendous potential and ability, and they're getting better. So to see them go out there and have success and fly around, I was very impressed with where they're at, especially so early in the season, and look forward to watching them get better.
Trent, what did you like the most about what your defensive front gave you guys? And for Thomas, that's 2 games in a row where he's been kind of really disruptive. What pops for him when you go back and watch the tape? Yeah,
I think you said it, disruptive. That's what we want from our front, kind of our style of play is we want to penetrate, we want to get in the backfield and be disruptive to teams. And I thought they did a good job of that Saturday night.
In terms of being a highly ranked team, I think the Ducks are number 9. Have you guys discussed or implemented kind of embracing your role as the underdogs or under Beavers going into this game?
No, we haven't even talked about that. I don't. For us, that's not really a storyline or a factor. It's who are we playing. It's about us. It's about our execution, our ability to go out there and execute the game plan, and that's our focus.
With it being rivalry week, going back to what you just said, since there is so many new players on this team that didn't get a sense of the last 2 years, being able to win that 2 years ago and then losing last year, is there any sorts of like revenge that this team wants to have? I know you brought in a lot of coaches that were played here at Oregon State, so they understand the rivalry, but how would you just kind of sum up how the team feels about the rivalry this week?
They know of it. They're aware of it. There's only a handful that have done it and lived it. But, the biggest is the opportunity to go out and compete at the national level, the national stage, and show what we can do and do it against a great opponent. And I think that's the bigger focus for our guys.
And then there are a handful of guys that went down during the game, and then some that didn't even play. Are you getting any of those players back for this week, or what is their status?
We'll find out more as we go through the week, yeah.
Coach, just when you look at Oregon, explosive offense, they had a couple explosive plays this week. What do you just see from them on tape, and how do you try to slow that offense down?
Yeah, they've got a tremendous amount of athletes. Obviously, a very talented quarterback. There's athletes everywhere on the field, up front, tight end. So they're just extremely talented, and so that's what you got to be able to make sure that you're sound, you're in the right spots. You give those guys the ability to make plays. And so that's really the biggest thing.
likewise, with their defense, what stands out about that front with kind of Cardwell and Harmon and Birch and a lot of disruptive guys in there?
Yeah, I think it's just back to they've got a collection of talent that is impressive when you look at the physical talent. So we got to do a good job of, again, being very technical sound, playing with great pad level and kind of using our, physicality and toughness to counteract their ability to move around.
For the guys who maybe haven't played in this game before, do you have to do anything in terms of preparing them for the emotion, the crowd, anything? Do you have to sort of do something when it comes to using the emotion of the game, but also not letting it negatively affect, how they play?
I don't think so, because every game is like that. I mean, I know this is a rivalry game and all those things, but for players and guys that go out there on the field, once the game starts, it's football. None of that stuff really matters. So I think their focus and the way they've handled themselves the first 2 weeks and have stayed focused on what's important, I expect that this week.
In terms of their defensive line, linebackers, and secondary, what will you be looking to exploit to help your offense be the most successful, or at least where do you anticipate having the best chance of success?
Well, that's what we're game planning and doing right now is what are the things we can do to get them unsettled. I don't think there's a weakness at a certain group that you'd say, oh, we're going to exploit them. It's just what can we do through our scheme to get them uneasy or unsure of their fit and take advantage of it.
What specifically would being unsettled look like?
I think we'll see Saturday, I guess.
What specifically did you see improvement from week 1 to week 2?
The passing game was good, the execution of it. I think defensively, the tight windows in coverage, I thought we closed a lot of that and made those adjustments from Idaho State. There were a lot tighter windows and made it hard for that quarterback to deliver the football without it being contested. So those were probably the two biggest takeaways from the game on Saturday.
What was your welcome to this series moment? Obviously, as a player.
Oh, as a player?
You came from Pullman, so
Yeah.
you had really no idea about this thing.
No, and I think it was just going out and doing it, and then the atmosphere is unbelievable, and so it just became something you kind of just learned what it was about. I think through experience.
With Giovanni, he's got no sacks. He had 1 sack. He didn't have a sack last week, but won the first game. What are you seeing from his pocket presence? Because that seems to be one of the reasons he's not going down at all.
Yeah, I think the line's done a great job blocking for him, but also he does a nice job sliding around and moving and getting out of the way of trouble. And then he has just some athletic ability where he can make guys miss when they are free to him. I think we saw that last week against San Diego State. He avoided a couple sacks because of his ability to move around.
Using Jabari in a limited role, is that going maybe in the way you envisioned, and do you expect to keep doing it? And not to make it more complicated, but how do you think Giovanni is handling, the coming in and out of the game?
Yeah, I think it's going the way we envisioned it, and then Giovanni's great with it. Great teammate, great leader. He understands what we're doing, and he's when he's in the game, he's locked in. When he's not in the game, he's focused and helping those guys when they come off the field. So he's been great.
Through 2 games, there hasn't been many times where Giovanni's been in a situation where it's like he's got to make a throw. The pressure's on him to sort of deliver with his arm. That might be the case this week. How do you feel like he's developing through these 2 games, and do you think he's in a position where if you have a drive where he needs to deliver with his arm, you have full confidence in him?
Yeah, I have confidence in his ability. There's no question. He's done a great job developing in the system and got better. And then he also, again, he's played a ton of football and a ton of big games when, he was at the University of Idaho. So his ability to make clutch plays, he's done before. So I feel confident about that.
What would a win in your first rivalry game as head coach mean to you personally?
3-0. That's the biggest thing. So that's what we're after. And, it's kind of 1 week at a time. I know that's cliche a little bit, but that's how you live in football. It's a vacuum. It's a week. You got a short time to prepare, a short time to get ready, and then you got to go out and do it. And so it didn't matter what happened the week before, what's going to happen the next week. It's really just a condensed all your energy, all your mental capacities working towards that one thing.
Taking a look at the early film that you've watched, of Oregon. What are some things that you thought the guys really executed well at San Diego State that are kind of similarities between maybe their offense and what Oregon might do that you're hoping to build on this week?
Yeah, I mean, there's elements of, they're both trying to spread you out and do different stuff to, create space for their athletes. So that's a good carryover. And then the motioning and some of the pass games, the vertical shots downfield. So there's some stuff you can always look to that really is going to transfer every week because most offenses are very similar in some fashion. So you're always carrying over.
It's been a handful of years since this rivalry's been here with a full stadium. COVID was another thing. Just do you have a message to Beaver Nation and what kind of atmosphere you expect here Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's just got to be, and which I know it will be, just a great environment and a true home field advantage. Just loud and especially when they're on the field on offense and making it tough to communicate for the opposing team and in those situations, third down being a big one where it makes it hard on them. That's what we're looking for.
It's understandable that coaches will play down rivalries. Every coach that has stood there for the last 25 years, same thing. We just want to win. Players, maybe a different story. Do you think that the portal and the ease with which players come and go may have neutralized that with the players?
That's hard to say, but I mean, I could definitely see how that could happen. I mean, guys aren't staying at places for 3-4 years anymore. They're moving around to 3 or 4 different colleges sometimes. So that definitely can play a part of it because I know just as a player, the way I felt about the game as a freshman versus how I felt about the game as a senior was quite different. So that might be something.